You're listening to Amazing Radio. This is Amazing Afternoons. I'm delighted to say that on the phone right now we have Wyldest, aka Zoe Mead. Zoe, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good. What does a regular day look like for Wyldest?
I'm currently down in my basement studio in Greenwich, and I am working on some like looping videos. I've kind of rediscovered that social media, as much as it's kind of like can be really toxic for musicians, it can be useful if you're actually doing useful things on it rather than just, well, for me anyway, taking a selfie doesn't really fulfill me. I feel a bit like dirty when I do that. So I've kind of combat the issue with doing these Instagram reels. So as like kind of unromantic as that might seem, that's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm
That, that,
doing a few
yeah,
kind of
that,
ambient guitar reels to post onto Instagram.
and are those loops from the record, or are they just completely original
Yeah,
material?
yeah, they are. They are actually kind of live versions of the like little snippets of the record. So yeah, obviously because the record's sort of coming out, and I'm trying to sort of think of ways to sort of get the record across online as much as you kind of as a musician, you're kind of like quite tempted to just ignore the online world and just live in your romantic musician world and just make music. But obviously, it's kind of good to get the kind of vibe out there to the audience. So this is what these little snippets are for. I'm gonna post them in the next sort of few weeks on the run up to the album. So yeah.
That's a good idea. I mean, it sounds as if your relationship with social media is similar to mine. It's kind of like a necessary, isn't it, in 2022, in terms
Yeah.
of like how people access or maybe discover your music. So, although you,
Mm.
you said, you'd like to live in a kind of romantic musicians kind of ideal place, but, you have to kind of play the game to a certain extent, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but annoyingly, you kind of put yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage if you do, unless like that is your entire, you're not worried about people like hearing your music on like wider level. Some people aren't, and that's just beautiful. I love that. And I wish I was one of those people that could just sit and make my music and really genuinely not want really care if anyone else hears it, because that is like almost true artistry in a way, to make something without a reason. And some people are like that. It's quite rare. But yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of all subject to this kind of and all the musicians that I know, actually, lots of pals, we're all in the same boat. It's like, oh man, yeah, I've got to post this thing. I've got to post about this, and you're sat there and you're in a session and you're trying to collaborate, and one of you is trying to like work Instagram. No one tells you when you're learning guitar that you have to try and be an influencer as well. So
Well, you're influencing people with your music. Third album now, Zoe. This new record. What we've heard so far, a couple of singles I've been playing a lot on my show, especially Tinfoil Girl and The Best Is Yet to Come. But I understand it was a little bit of a different approach to this record. Your last record, you really drew your lines in the sand and did it all yourself, didn't you? And on this one,
yeah.
I believe you've got an extra pair of ears on that. Just tell us a little bit about the process of the new record, Feed the Flowers Nightmares.
Yeah, so it kind of came after, because I my last record I made completely on my own, from the writing to the mixing. And the only thing I didn't do was the mastering, which was down to a lovely and amazing mastering engineer called Kevin Tuffy. But so anyway, this album, I was kind of drained after that. I genuinely, and I always feel like this, and I think it's a kind of common problem, that I just felt like I'd put everything into it, and that was all I have, and that's everything. And okay, that's out there now, and I've given it, and now I have nothing more. I'm kind of like empty of any creative inspiration, I guess, and that's natural, because if you've made something, I guess it's natural. I hope it is. You feel like you've put everything into it, and then you kind of like empty of new inspiration, and you need to go and find a new way of writing, or and kind of basically I went for a drink with a pal Luciano Rossi, aka Luci Rossi, who is a friend who writes and plays in a band called Dharma Scout, who I'm a huge fan of. He also plays with Idlewild on a kind of larger level. And we kind of just chatted, and he was like, do you want to come in, for a session and just like, I don't know, collaboration, and just see what happens. And then we wrote one of the songs that's now called Feed the Flowers Nightmares on the album in that day, and just did it in a few hours. I had this like progression and like vocals, and to be honest, like I've never actually collaborated in that way. I can't believe I've waited this long to do it. It's like I've always felt like this weight on my shoulders to do everything myself, and I don't know where that came from or why. Maybe, I don't know, I'd watched too many production videos on YouTube, or I don't know, something. I've gone down a rabbit hole of like, no, I can do this all myself, and that's great. And like I would always encourage people to do that themselves, and I still do create music independently. But for this album, I really had to find inspiration and collaborate. I think I would have gone mad if I didn't.
So did he have his own space, his own studio space, or similar kind of setup to your own down there in your basement there?
Yeah, it's quite similar actually. I mean, all these spaces, because of technology and because of the way things have worked now, that you can get like a pretty decent interface for a couple of £100 and a pretty decent microphone. Everyone seems to have these like nice little setups where they can get really, really good results in their basement or in their flat or in a little room in Hackney or wherever they choose to make their music. So everything seems to be quite similar. But I think it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't the technology or the like kind of putting things through lovely analog gear. Not that, because Lucci has that, he has lovely equipment, but it was more, I needed another brain. I needed like to kind of almost be told that this is a good idea and this isn't, or this is better, let's try this with this, because I found like with Monthly Friend, my previous album, I was constantly, and I still do, listen back thinking, I could have done that better, or I could have, because you always beat yourself up. Whereas when you're collaborating and working with someone, whether they're in your band or whether it's a producer, you're always bouncing off each other, and you're going to create something in that slot because you've set out to do it. So you'll do it, so it's very powerful to do that. And I've only just realized that in my life, which is ridiculous to wait this long.
So would you say that the experience pushed you and made you a better musician? Because in previous situations you may have just settled for an idea, or maybe pushed yourself to a certain point and thought until you were happy with it, but having those extra pair of ears and another person just saying, try this, it actually made you evolve a bit?
Yeah, well, I think it's always good to collaborate and listen to other people. And like, I mean, it would be mad to just lock yourself away in a room and not like take influence from anyone else and listen to other people's ideas in any sense, like whether that's with music or anything. Like if you're stuck completely in your own lane, you're never going to develop or grow. So it definitely, in all ways, even just conversations, like, because when you're hanging out with someone that you like, and you're kind of, there's a lot of time where you're just chatting and you're just learning about other things, like a book that someone's read, or, like there's so many benefits to collaborating with music other than just creating the music.
That said, was there anything kind of going on which was heavily influencing some of the songs, or maybe the record as a whole, not just music, but literature, or, things that in popular culture or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's with this album particularly, there is the constant backdrop of like sort of mental health, which obviously that's no new thing or no original thing, but everyone is subject to it and dealing with their own stuff. So I mean, that is the backdrop of the album, really. It's kind of that concept that I spoke about earlier. It's finding sort of feeling like, you need to feed this creative energy inside, or feed like yourself to like become a better person. And in that, I guess, when you go through trauma, or, and a lot of people have been going through trauma or some kind of level of trauma with, like, obviously, and I don't want to go into it too much because everyone knows what I'm talking about with that time. in the last few years where people have been able to go outside and all that. So everyone's kind of had the wind knocked out of their sails. So everyone, I guess, can relate to that. But this album is more about like sort of using trauma or things that have happened to you to become a better person or a stronger person or someone that can, you know, go forward and almost reborn, you know, into someone else. Like, we're all going to go through something really actually traumatic in our lives because that's just the human trajectory. People live and people die. And, you know, whenever someone that you love, you have to lose someone you love, which inevitably will happen to all of us, you almost become a new person because you have to. You can't just pretend that that didn't happen, and you have to deal with it, and then you have to be reborn and embrace this new person that you are, rather than pushing it away and trying to be this old person that you were before that trauma, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Really gone into depth with that, but yeah.
No, it's fascinating and it makes a lot of sense. And you know, like you say, everyone has to experience these things, don't they? So we've thoroughly enjoyed the singles you've given us so far from the record. Are you happy with how they've been received by your fans, your existing fans, and new fans as well?
Yeah, I'm really I'm psyched. I mean, I'm always sort of abide by the rules of having no expectation with releasing music, as much as, you know, you really want people to listen and people to validify you, I guess, and say like, yes, I really like this, you've done really well done, pat on the back. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I don't want to expect, and every time someone, it could be anyone, I've really try and make an effort to reply to people and kind of allow people to be part of the world, you know, because every fan is valuable, and everyone who like engages with the music, every teenager in America that writes to me saying that like my music like helped them through a tough time, I'm like, oh my god, this is so worth it, this is like the best thing ever, I can't believe I'm doing this for someone. And yeah, that has, you know, it seems to have happened more than ever with this record. I think there's a different kind of depth to it, because I'd hope that with each record I'm growing as a person and able to give like more insight. I think that's natural as you get older. Like, how could it not be that you have life experience and you gain things, and you can sort of give them to others, and you can offer more as someone who's been living and on this planet a little bit longer. So yeah.
Special, and that you can only get that through music, can't you? And you've talked about that connection with your fans, but obviously that connection goes a step further when you get to play live. You've got a tour in September as well around the release. Are you looking forward to that? And what does the live setup look like in 2022 for Wyldest?
Oh, okay. Well, it's a 4-piece, and I've done the solo thing various times as well. But I love my band, and I've got my beloved bandmate Marine, who had to move back to Estonia during the pandemic, and she's coming over to play. So I'm so excited to have her play. I've got Jen, who is also she has a project, and it's sort of going through some downtime at the moment, called Jennifer O'Neill, and she's in Indian Queens. And then I've got an old pal who I've known for a very long time from my hometown playing drums, called AD Bat, and he's just an absolute legend. And I'm just really excited because Luciano and Eva from Moiji are coming on tour, so they're going to support. So it's going to be so fun. It's just going to be a bunch of pals driving around, seeing things, and we're going to play the entire album from start to finish. And that's, I could be, you know, kind of secretive about it, but that's just what we're doing. And maybe we'll chuck in a few old ones in encores if people want them. But we just decided, I saw Kate Le Bon at Glastonbury, and I'm a really, really big fan. And it kind of inspired me to, I don't know, just like give the live set a kick up the arse, you know, to keep up. And can I say arse?
Yes, you can say arse.
Can I say arse? Okay. Yeah, give the live set a kick up the arse, and we're going to play the entire album from start to finish. And I've always dabbled, because there's so many songs now, because I've been doing this for so long. I've got 50 songs, I don't know, maybe more. Just too many songs, so many songs. I can't play them all live. And I'm always like, oh, I want to play that one, that one. And then the bandmates are like, oh, we should play that one. I'm like, no, we're going to do the entire album because we are. And it's going to be great. And we're going to give people a taste of the new Wyldest, you know, and maybe chuck in a few old ones if there's requests as well. But I'm really excited.
That
was
is
long.
very exciting, and an incredibly exciting time, and it's just around the corner as well. Zoe, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us here on Amazing Radio. Wish you best for the release and the tour. Pop in, come and see us.
Oh, I'd love to. Where are you?
We're in Newcastle. Well, Gateshead,
Newcastle.
technically. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wow. Yeah, that'd be great. Why not?
Cool. Right, okay then.
Cool.
Thanks very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Frankie. Bye.